Surveillance cameras captured the final moments of Chicago drill rapper THF Zoo's life. The 35-year-old OTF affiliate, known for beating multiple murder charges and his gritty street anthems, never saw it coming. But what really happened in that parking lot? The man behind the legend. Before we dive into the tragic events that unfolded on that fateful October afternoon, we need to understand exactly who Devonshee Collier was, the man the streets knew as THF Zoo, THF Bay Zoo, or simply Big Boss Zoo. This wasn't just another rapper caught in the crossfire of Chicago's endless gang violence. This was a figure who had become almost mythical in drill music circles, a man whose very survival seemed to defy the odds time and time again, until suddenly it didn't. Born on September 26, 1990, in one of Chicago's most notorious environments, Devonshee Collier entered a world that would shape every aspect of his existence. The infamous Cabrini Green housing projects became his classroom, his playground, and his battleground all at once. For those unfamiliar with Cabrini Green, we're talking about a place where fear was a constant companion, where violence wasn't an exception but the rule, where childhood innocence died young.
I was born in the Greens, I grew up in the Greens. You know what I'm saying? I got a name out there too, like, you know what I'm saying? I got a chance to get in the field, but I was just doing bad shit. Little baby kid shit, you feel me? I came southbound when I was like mid-teens. My OG always been out south, so I've been knowing all my brothers that's from out south since I was a puppy, you feel me? My grandma still stayed up north. And my OG moved southbound when they knocked our building down.
The streets weren't kind to young Devonshee, but they were honest in their brutality. By his own admission, he developed what he called a passion for crime from an incredibly young age. We're talking about a kid who was shooting BB guns at taxi drivers, throwing rocks at passing vehicles, letting stray dogs out of community cages just to watch chaos unfold. This wasn't youthful mischief. This was survival training disguised as rebellion.
Shooting taxi cab drivers with BB guns, throwing rocks, going in the stove, snatching shit, running up out of them. I was bad as hell on the shorty. Man, so much shit I can't even think of. Like, I was just doing all bad shit, man. Yeah, man. You know, the little dog catcher trucks and shit when they be grabbing the little stray dogs and shit. I used to, you know, they got a little community in the Greens with the dogs that I used to be letting dogs out the bike when I was a shorty, man. Bad as hell, like unlocking the little dog cage, letting their ass hop out the truck, chasing down the street shit. I was just bad as hell.
But Zoo's story took a devastating turn when he was just entering adulthood. On May 24th, 2011, his brother Gouda passed away in a tragic accident. A gun accidentally discharged in their home, striking Gouda in the head. Zoo was around 21 years old at the time, and what happened next would haunt him for the rest of his life. In an incredibly raw moment during his interview, Zoo revealed something that most people could never imagine having to do.
You know, he was in a house, the gun accidentally went off and shot him in the head or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's how he passed away. So like, wasn't nobody in my family, as far as the immediate family, who was strong enough to bathe them and wash them up and get them prepared for the services or whatever. So like,
this traumatic experience became a defining moment for Zoo, one that he carried with him through everything that followed. He admitted that even years later, he still hadn't properly mourned, that he'd been strong for his family, but never had the chance to truly process his grief. This unresolved trauma would manifest in various ways throughout his life, particularly in his relationship with substances, which he openly discussed as his coping mechanism. Zoo's criminal history began remarkably early. At just 13 years old, he caught his first major charge for armed robbery in Cairo, Illinois, serving 4.5 years in juvenile facilities like Harrisburg. But that was just the beginning. Over the course of his life, Zoo would spend more than 12 years incarcerated across multiple stints, mostly in short county jail stays for gun charges and other offenses.
Maybe more, maybe less, bro. Like, I spent a lot of time, man. I've been going to jail since a juvenile, since I was 13, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I try to do the math myself, like just putting all the time together, the real bids and shit. It's like 12 out of my life, shit, then half of my life, you feel me? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I ain't get a chance to experience life for real till I turned like 12, 13, so like, hell yeah, I stayed in trouble as a shorty, man. That's all, I stayed in some shit, bro, like. My background shot like a motherfucker, but like as far as being convicted, I ain't got no deep convictions, you get what I'm saying? I got two gun convictions. Both of them unconstitutional though right now.
But here's where Zoo's story becomes truly remarkable, or depending on your perspective, deeply troubling. Despite his extensive criminal history, Zoo beat multiple serious charges, including murders, attempted murders, and armed robberies. He became known for his ability to navigate the legal system, famously proclaiming that he beat cases by picking juries and going to trial, not by getting off on technicalities or cooperating with authorities. The most significant of these cases came in 2014 when Zoo was arrested at Lil Durk's home in connection with a 2009 murder. The charges were serious, first-degree murder, but Zoo would eventually beat the case in 2018, an experience that inspired one of his most popular tracks.
I beat my body January 2018, and Von beat this shit a month after. And Durk flew us down here, you feel me, took us shopping and shit. And I said it on my No Jump interview, we was really just in the basement on Durk Live. We set a live up there. They was like, damn, Zoo and Von just beat they murder a month apart from each other. Y'all should do a song. And Buka and Ike was playing with a motherfucker like, man, y'all ass ain't no shit. Ooh, they telling y'all ass to rap. And Von ass like, man, shit, call the engineer. So they called the engineer, you know what I'm saying? Man, Von just and that bitch is playing. We ain't even write that Beat the Body. We just going back and forth, and that ended up being one of my hottest songs.
Beat That Body with King Von became a street anthem, but it also reinforced Zoo's reputation in ways that would ultimately prove dangerous. The song was seen by many as bragging about beating a murder charge, which attracted unwanted attention from law enforcement. Zoo acknowledged this, explaining how police began targeting him more intensely after the song's release, viewing it as him flaunting his ability to evade justice. Zoo's affiliation with THF, Trigger Happy Family or Tay-Town Hustlers Family, defined much of his street identity. This gang, originally tied to Gangster Disciples, but later flipped to Black Disciples in the 2000s, operated out of Chicago's Kenwood and Bronzeville neighborhoods, specifically around 46th Street. The set was known for its aggressive reputation and deadly rivalries, particularly with 051 Young Money, a Mickey Cobra's affiliated gang. The THF versus 051 Young Money feud has been described as one of the deadliest gang wars in Chicago drill history, with unverified reports claiming over 100 casualties linked to the conflict. The war began around 2008 with a McDonald's shootout and escalated through countless retaliatory killings over the years. Zoo himself was speculated to be involved in several of these incidents, earning him the street nickname OTF's Top Shooter, a label he would later publicly distance himself from, though the reputation stuck. But Zoo wasn't just a street figure. He was also an artist trying to build something beyond the violence. His music career gained serious traction in the early 2020s through his close association with Lil Durk's Only the Family, OTF collective. Zoo had known Durk since 2008, and their friendship deepened over shared experiences, including beating serious legal charges around the same time. Zoo's discography wasn't extensive. He focused more on singles and features than full albums, but his impact was undeniable. Do It for Von, a tribute to his close friend King Von, who died in 2020, garnered over 4 million streams on Spotify. Other notable tracks included Mad 'Cause I'm Rich with over 1.1 million streams and Get Backers featuring Boona with over 900,000 streams. His relationship with King Von was particularly significant. The two met around 2012 and bonded during their respective incarcerations. Zoo described Von as having storytelling abilities comparable to Slick Rick and credited him with influencing his own entry into rap. They remained close until Von's death in November 2020, a loss that hit Zoo hard. By October 2025, Zoo had amassed over 180,000 Instagram followers and around 35,000 monthly Spotify listeners. He had released his 2023 project FO6 and was working on new material, having just dropped Murder Story, which garnered hundreds of thousands of views with minimal promotion. But despite his musical success and stated desires to leave street life behind, Zoo remained entangled in the very violence he hoped to escape. In interviews, he spoke about wanting to relocate his 7 children out of Chicago, about planning community programs like youth baseball teams and boxing tournaments to steer kids away from guns, about being done with senseless violence. Yet he also acknowledged the impossibility of truly escaping his past, of changing his lifestyle completely when his name and reputation preceded him everywhere. This was the complex, contradictory figure that Devonshire Collier had become by October 2025, a father of 7, trying to build a legitimate music career while carrying the weight of his past, a man who spoke eloquently about wanting peace while bearing the scars of decades of violence, someone trying desperately to break a cycle he had helped perpetuate. And on October 26, 2025, that complicated journey would come to a sudden, brutal end. The fatal afternoon. October 26, 2025, started like any other Saturday afternoon in Chicago. The weather was typical for late fall, cool but not cold, the kind of day where people still went about their business without much thought. But in a parking lot near the 3100 block of South St. Louis Avenue in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood, the mundane was about to transform into the tragic. Around 3:00 p.m., THF Zoo was in that parking lot with two other men, aged 39 and 42. The exact reason for their presence there remains somewhat unclear. Some reports suggest they were picking up car parts. Others simply indicate they were loafing in the area. What is clear is that they had no idea what was about to happen. The setting itself was mundane, a public parking lot in a predominantly Latino residential area adjacent to La Velita Park, a community space that contrasts sharply with the violence that would soon unfold there. What happened next unfolded with terrifying speed and precision. According to police reports, an unknown vehicle approached the parking lot. Armed individuals exited and opened fire on the three men. The attack was not a random act of violence or a case of mistaken identity. This was calculated, targeted, and executed with a kind of firepower that suggested premeditation and intent to kill. The ballistic evidence tells a chilling story. Police recovered 20 rifle casings and 19 9mm casings from the scene, 39 rounds fired in total, suggesting multiple weapons and possibly multiple shooters. The use of both rifles and handguns indicated this wasn't a spontaneous act, but rather a planned ambush with significant firepower. 5 vehicles in the parking lot sustained damage from the gunfire, illustrating the sheer volume of shots fired and the indiscriminate nature of the attack.
Hey, yo.
I just for the air, John 464-987, 464-987, event 0764807648.
Damn, that means they got his ass.
164.
Go ahead.
The vehicle looks like it may be a Honda Accord, newer model, like 2020. And the both shooters jumped in the passenger in the rear, one in the passenger, so there possibly at least 3 heads in the car.
The 3 victims were struck with varying degrees of severity. The 39-year-old was shot in the ankle, while the 42-year-old sustained wounds to the arm, back, and lower body. Both of these men survived their injuries and were treated in fair condition. But THF Zoo wasn't so fortunate. He was struck multiple times in the abdomen and torso, critical wounds that would prove fatal despite immediate medical intervention. All 3 victims were rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital. Zoo arrived in critical condition, but despite the best efforts of the trauma team, he succumbed to his injuries. The 35-year-old rapper, who had survived so many close calls over the years, who had beaten multiple murder charges and escaped countless dangerous situations, could not survive this one. Family sources confirmed his death that evening, sending shockwaves through Chicago's drill community and beyond. But here's where the story takes an even more disturbing turn. Within hours of the shooting, surveillance footage from the parking lot began circulating on social media. This grainy video, captured without audio, would become one of the most viewed and discussed pieces of content in drill music circles, reigniting debates about the ethics of sharing violent content and the role of social media in perpetuating the cycle of gang violence. The viral footage shows a scene that appears almost mundane at first. Several individuals standing near vehicles in a parking lot, seemingly engaged in casual conversation or routine activities. Then, suddenly, the footage captures 2 assailants, one in a light hoodie and another in dark clothing, approaching the group. What happens next is too graphic to describe in detail, but the video shows the attackers opening fire before fleeing the scene on foot, while victims scatter or collapse. Interestingly, the footage contradicted some aspects of the police reports. While police described a vehicle-based approach, the viral video clearly shows the assailants approaching on foot. This discrepancy raises questions about whether there were multiple surveillance angles, whether the police report was incomplete or inaccurate, or whether the viral footage itself might not show the complete picture of what transpired. The location of the shooting also raised eyebrows among those familiar with Chicago's gang territories. Little Village is primarily a Latino neighborhood on Chicago's southwest side, not traditionally associated with THF territory, which is centered around the South Side's Bronzeville and Kenwood areas. This led to speculation that Zoo had been tracked to the location, that someone knew he would be there and planned the ambush accordingly. The brazen nature of the attack, occurring at 3 p.m. in a public parking lot, suggested either extreme boldness on the part of the attackers or a level of desperation that overrode normal caution. As news of the shooting spread, speculation about the perpetrators and motives began immediately. Given Zoo's extensive history of gang affiliations and beefs, there was no shortage of theories. Some pointed to the ongoing THF versus 0551 Young Money feud, suggesting this might be the latest casualty in that long-running war. Others noted recent tensions involving THF-TP's death in 2024, which some believe was connected to a rival Black Disciples set called Bashville Crazy.
We don't know who this can be and who Mike can be, because the nigga be into it with so many people, you know what I'm talking about? Diss so many people, you know what I'm talking about? That's why it's not good to diss, because if you out here dissing, my nigga, you know what I'm talking about? You don't know where that fire can come from. You know what I'm talking about? And if you out here dissing, bro, you might as well tuck yourself under a rock, hide yourself in the crib, or get some top flight security or something, man.
Unverified community reports on Reddit suggested a revenge chain. THF-TP was killed in February 2024, allegedly by someone named Man Man from Bashville Crazy. Man Man was then killed in June 2024 in retaliation, and Zoo's October 2025 death might have been Bashville's way of closing the loop. But these remain unconfirmed theories, the kind of street narratives that circulate in the absence of official information. The timing of Zoo's death also struck many as grimly ironic. November 5th marked the anniversary of his 2014 arrest for first-degree murder, the case he eventually beat in 2018. That he would be killed just days before this anniversary seemed to some like a cruel twist of fate, a reminder that in Chicago streets, history has a way of repeating itself, often in the most tragic ways possible. The aftermath and impact. The news of THF Zoo's death didn't just spread, it exploded across social media, text messages, phone calls, and group chats, creating immediate shockwaves that rippled through Chicago's drill community and beyond. The response was as polarized and complex as Zoo's life had been, revealing the deep divisions, personal connections, and ongoing tensions that define Chicago's hip-hop landscape. For those who knew and loved Zoo, the grief was immediate and overwhelming. OTF's Duty Low, one of Zoo's closest associates, shared a heartfelt tribute on Instagram, expressing the depth of his loss. In his post, Duty Low referred to Zoo as a big brother who had stood by him during his own recovery from a shooting. Duty Low made a solemn vow, writing, "I got you kids for life," a commitment to support Zoo's 7 children in the wake of their father's death. This gesture speaks to the family-like bonds within OTF and the sense of responsibility that members feel toward each other, even in death. It's a stark reminder that behind the tough exterior and street credibility, these are real people with real relationships, real grief, and real consequences to bear. THF Rome, another affiliate, expressed his shock and frustration, not just at Zoo's death, but at how normalized violence had become in Chicago. His comments about desensitization struck a chord with many, highlighting how communities affected by constant violence can become numb to tragedy, treating death as just another day, another loss, another name added to an ever-growing list. Even Billionaire Black from FBG, who came from a rival faction, posted a tribute, acknowledging Zoo as a great brother and expressing prayers for his family. This cross-faction respect demonstrated that despite the beefs and conflicts, there was still recognition of shared humanity, of lives lost too soon, of the universal tragedy of violence. Fans across social media platforms expressed shock and disbelief. On X, posts like "Damn Rip Bay Zoo" appeared thousands of times, mixed with questions about Chicago's unrelenting violence. Why is Chicago like this? Many noted the timing, with one user writing, "Damn so theft Zoo passed away. I know Durk in there sick," referring to Lil Durk's incarceration on federal murder for hire charges. The tragic irony wasn't lost on anyone. OTF's founder was locked up, potentially facing life in prison, and now one of his closest associates was gone forever. But the response wasn't universally mournful. On Reddit's r/Curicology, rival gang members and their supporters celebrated Zoo's death, posting screenshots of Instagram stories with phrases like "Toast to dat," a sarcastic toast, and "I got Zoo," accompanied by laughing emojis. The comment sections revealed a disturbing jubilation. "Nigga been killing shit and actually beat bodies. Him going out was unexpected," one user wrote, while another added, "The way everybody's celebrating show you this nigga was really out here hurting shy." One particularly telling comment read, "20 different niggas repping is crazy," referring to the number of rival gang members claiming involvement or celebrating the killing. The sheer number of people expressing satisfaction at Zoo's death speaks to his reputation on the streets. He was seen as as a serious threat, someone who had allegedly caused significant harm to rival sets over the years. Whether these claims were true or exaggerated, the perception alone had made him a high-profile target. Another Reddit user noted the mocking tone of rivals, why he ain't blow his gun, taunting Zoo for apparently not fighting back during the ambush. This cruel mockery is a common feature of Chicago's gang culture, where showing any perceived weakness, even being caught off guard in a deadly ambush, becomes fodder for disrespect and ridicule. Importantly, contrary to some early speculation, no evidence suggested O-Block was involved in mocking Zoo's death. O-Block, home to the late King Von, was actually allied with THF and OTF through their shared Black Disciples ties. The celebrations came from historical rivals like Aero 51 Young Money and potentially other opposing sets, underscoring the complex web of alliances and conflicts that defined Chicago's gang landscape. The most notable absence in the immediate aftermath was Lil Durk himself, currently incarcerated on federal murder-for-hire charges, facing the possibility of life without parole. Durk could not publicly react to Zoo's death. However, unverified reports suggested he broke down in jail upon hearing the news, given their close relationship dating back to 2008. The loss of Zoo, following the deaths of King Von and D Thang, and amid his own legal crisis, must have been devastating for Durk. One ex-user summed up the situation bleakly. Von, D Thang, and Zoo dead, and Durk is facing life without parole. OTF is finished. This sentiment, that OTF as a collective might not survive these compounding tragedies, was echoed by others. The label had already been reeling from King Von's 2020 death and the loss of other members. Now, with Durk incarcerated and Zoo dead, the future looked uncertain at best. Some saw it as the inevitable conclusion to a lifestyle that glorified violence and street credibility above all else. For Zoo's 7 children, the impact is immeasurable. They will grow up without their father, trying to make sense of why he was taken from them in such a violent public way. They will have to navigate a world where their father's death is documented online, where strangers debate his life and death, where some celebrate his passing while others mourn it. The trauma of losing a parent to violence is profound, and the additional burden of that loss being so public only compounds it. Zoo himself had spoken about wanting something different for his children. In interviews, he talked about relocating them out of Chicago, about breaking the cycle of violence that had defined his life. He acknowledged the pain of the lifestyle he'd lived and expressed a desire to steer young people away from it, even while recognizing that he couldn't fully escape his own past.
So I just want to change a few people, man. You get what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to knock no for what they doing or how they coming on their blocks, and I really don't get no if it don't concern me or my people, you feel me? But the streets gonna be the streets anyway, bro. I just really want to just with the youth from 7 to 12, man, and just try to change their mind and give them a reason so they won't be easily influenced into the streets, you know what I'm saying? Give them something to do that they ain't had no chance to do, you know what I'm saying? Because we had a lot of shit to do when we was kids, you feel me? You don't see little 8, 9, 10-year-olds around this motherfucker riding bikes with pads and stunners on them and shit with mag wheels, you feel me? Shit, that the fun shit we did. 9-year-old probably shoot the shit out of another 9-year-old over the bike. This generation different, gang. Like,
the tragedy of THF Zoo is that he could clearly see the problems, could articulate what needed to change, and yet found himself unable to fully extricate himself from the circumstances that ultimately killed him. He was trapped by reputation, by loyalty, by the very authenticity that made his music resonate with fans. To fully walk away from street life would have meant abandoning the identity he'd built, the relationships that sustained him, and the credibility that gave his art meaning. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.